Alrighty, well, a very happy Friday, March the 10th, 2023. We have made it through another week in the sports world. Excited to be bringing you the final 2 hours of this week program, taking you guys into a weekend. And we're just looking to get you guys settled down, ready for the weekend. We got a lot of sports going on here in the local area and also around the world. We got the World Baseball Classics that's been going on, and I watched a little bit of that last night for the first time. And we'll get ready for Team USA to get their games underway in this round robin, uh, weekend series. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But we got a whole bunch of other sports going on, such as the NCAA Conference Championship Tournaments. Both all Xavier, Kentucky, and Cincinnati will be playing and competing today. And watch the last 5 minutes of the Xavier and DePaul game, which DePaul had to win earlier this week in order to face Xavier. Xavier was down, I want to say, about 5 points with 5 minutes to go. And I tuned in because it was a close game, and I was kind of bummed because I missed most of it. I had my daughters that came over here last night for a little bit, ate dinner with them, and we ended up watching in Encanto, the Disney movie with Maribel, and we watched the movie because the wife never seen it, and so my youngest has kept on saying, "You got to watch it. We got to watch it with you." And so it was like, all right, this is the perfect time. So they came over. We had, we ate dinner, got a chance to watch the movie, and we kind of got a chance to do something else that we really haven't been able. That we, kind of did some other things that I will probably talk about at a later date. But so it was, it caught the back end of Xavier and DePaul, and Xavier was down by what, 6 points, and then they go on. Then they call a timeout with like 3:38 left in the game, and I'm hearing Wes Miller over there talking to the Musketeers, and he's like, man, it's not about everything that's happened this season. It's not about everything that's happened the last 55 minutes of this game, or what, no, 35 minutes of the game, excuse me. And it's about how the best team will finish off, will win this ball game in the next 4 minutes. The best team will win this ball game in the next 4 minutes. And I'm like, I'm just tipping my hat off to Miller. And I'm just like, man, yeah, are you like, this is, I don't know what happened. Kentucky was down, or not Kentucky, I'm sorry. Xavier was down, and he just, he reminded me, it kind of reminded me of the moment with Joe Montana. That famous historical story between Joe Montana and the 49ers, where they were down in the Super Bowl, and you had to go, march down the field with little time on the clock. And Joe Montana goes in the huddle, and he's just as calm as he can be. And, it's just kind of reminded me of that scenario. And, the Musketeers were not panicking. They were not, doing anything. Like, they weren't worried about the game. They had plenty of time on the clock. And, within like a minute left in the game, they took a solid 5-point lead. And, one of the mistakes that really contributed to the Musketeers contributed for the Musketeers' favor was DePaul made 7+ turnovers in the second half alone. Man, it was a really good game. I'll talk later on this morning. But yeah, that's kind of how my yesterday went, and I'm excited to be coming on to you today and talking about some sports. Now, I don't know the direction, to be honest, where the sports we're going to head to. We'll talk a little bit about SmackDown and what's to come. I'll give you the preview of AEW Rampage, which is tonight. As far as wrestling wise, really over serious. So, I'm gonna over throughout the show, if we have dead period, there's a couple of conversations I do want to have with you about wrestling, about certain individuals. But we'll just see. Excuse me, gosh. Uh, we'll just see where the day takes us. Um, so like I said, it's a Friday where um we're really focusing ourselves around on just getting you guys ready for the weekend, and nothing too crazy or too special here today. So I do want to go out there and say, because this is a pretty big, news. You want talking about Reds baseball, and yesterday the Cincinnati Reds has announced their opening day, starter for scheduled to pitch on opening day, and drum roll. We're gonna give it to the good old Hunter Green. And so they was announced the first series of starters against the Pittsburgh Pirates. We are just 21 days away from an opening day in Major League Baseball. We will see Bronson, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, and I want to just kind of see where I have that. We will see Bronson Arroyo and Danny Graves as they will be inducted into the Reds Hall of Fame this year. They will be hosting as the Grand Marshal of this year's Findlay Market Opening Day Parade. Now, I know I mentioned that a little bit yesterday. I wanted to make sure I got clear that I gave credit to everyone who needed to give credit to. So in this books here, and I think it's a great way to kick it off. I don't know. Are you guys, who's going to the Findlay Market Opening Day Parade? Is it, and I don't, I really, this is kind of like the first year that I think for me, everyone like this is the first year where I think this has happened where, it kind of feels like an opening day, because 2020 was canceled because of COVID. 2021 was still kind of the back end of COVID. So, we didn't start seeing fans into stadiums until midway through the year. And knowing how large the Findlay Market Opening Day Parade is, I don't think they held that. 2022, we had MLB lockdown. Now, I think that the Reds, correct me if I'm wrong, had something around that time, on that day when they opened up the first home game against the Cleveland Guardians, but I'm not 100% certain. And even if they did, I don't believe it had the same atmosphere as the one that's going to be taking place today, this year. So Hunter Green will get the nod. Now, this is still all kind of up in the air. And when I say up in the air is that you could announce your opening day starter today, and in 3 weeks time frame, he won't be ready. All right, something would happen. God forbid something happens to Hunter Green. But David Bell announced the potential 3 starters against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Hunter Green, I believe you also have on that Saturday Nick Lodolu and Graham Ashcraft. Now, I think this is an incredible start because these were the 3 keys pitchers that were focused on for opening day before spring training even approached. And this is kind of also that startup. Okay, you think of these 3 guys who kind of got thrown into the major league roster at the beginning of the season last year because of substantial amount of injuries, especially looking around Luis Castillo, Mike Minor, kind of prematurely forced them to go into the season blindsided. With the CBA agreement and the lockdown of Major League Baseball last year, I don't think a lot of teams, especially the Reds, did not start off to a good season. It took them probably 2 to 3 months to get their feet wet to the point where, okay, now we could start looking at, can we actually play solid baseball? And every time they got up to a a fun hot streak, because there was a few fun times. I remember the Yankees where they took care of business in New York. Those were fun times. But this is the first full year that these guys understand their position, understand their role on the team, and they understand that there's no one that's going to go back them up, or they're going to get replaced unless they're hurt. So throwing Hunter out there, which I think is one of first of many opening day starts, in my opinion. I think it's incredible. I like Nick Lodulu going for number 2 on Saturday, and then Graham Ashcraft. I'm not saying that he's having the greatest performance of spring training, but you got to get these guys out there and start getting them innings in these series. And what better way other than do it than to kick things off against the Pittsburgh Pirates? Now, here's what I'm going to also say. You lock these 3 guys in set. It looks like to me Luke Weaver is making his case for that 4th spot. That 5th spot, I think, right now could kind of be open to anybody. You got Connor Overton, Levi Stroud. You got Luis Cessa, who's currently in the World Baseball Classics right now. So you have opportunities to change, to kind of get yourself off to a good start. Now, I don't want to underestimate what Pittsburgh is capable of, but I mean, they're not really, for me, they don't catch my eye as a top baseball team. So when I sit here and I think about between the Pirates and the Reds, and I'm like, you start thinking about easy wins. This here is an easy win. All right. This opening day series coming up in 3 weeks should be a very easy win for the Cincinnati Reds. I'm not saying I would like them to go 3-0 and sweep the Pirates, but if not, they at least going 2-1 against the Pirates, right? See Hunter Green, Nick Lodolu, and Graham Ashcraft. I'm also thinking about the overall potential. Like, I understand, because afterwards we will be hosting the Chicago Cubs, and we know how each team in this division gives the Reds some sort of aches and pains. And so to be able to see to kick things off on a fast and right track. And I think it's important for guys like Hunter Green, Lodolu, and Graham Ashcraft. And this is why Pittsburgh's such a great opponent for them. It's because they're capable of getting the ball rolling, building momentum, building confidence. It's great to see a success rate out there on spring training, but let's not forget that spring training is just spring training. A lot of players go into games and scenarios with goals and objectives to accomplish, whether that is focusing on a four-seam fastball, or that's just focusing on getting on base, or not letting the ball get past you. Whatever the case may be, that's what spring training is for. You're not seeing a ideal roster, and you're not seeing what the actual organization is projecting to put out each and every day. And even if you do, all right, even if you see the opening day roster out there on the field in the lineup, or the opening day lineup out there, you're not seeing them the complete duration of the game. You're getting swapped in and out about 3, 4, 5 innings into the game. And so you still don't get a realistic view when it comes down to, okay, this is what this team is capable of. So it's exciting. Congratulations to Hunter Green. He'll get the opening day start. Kind of like him better than any other pitcher on that roster right now. We're how else do I put this? Hunter Green, I think, is the first of many, and he'll get the opportunity to. And I still think, disagree with me if you want, and I want to hear your point of views. But I think that this is not only that this, I feel, fits perfectly, right? And it's like I said, it's not locked in set, because things do happen over the next 3 weeks, but this fits perfectly. So, you could possibly see Luke Weaver, Luis Cessa, if those are your 4 and 5 guys pitching against the Chicago Cubs. And I think that they're veterans enough to understand a little bit more about the Cubs. But Hunter Green, Nick Lodolu, Graham Ashcraft, first 3 games of the series of the season, all against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Kicking things off Thursday, March 30th, at the first home opener, the home opener of the game, first game of the season. After the Findlay Market Parade, so it's looking up to be a nice moment there for all of them. So we'll talk a little bit about Reds baseball and take a look into the weekend. They faced the Chicago Cubs last night. We'll talk a little bit more about the NCAA tournament conference tournaments that are going up. Getting you guys ready for, Kentucky's playing today, Temple's playing today. Not Temple, Cincinnati. They're facing Temple today. There you go. That's my third mistake so far this morning. And then Xavier also goes on and plays today. So we'll give you that coverage, as well as XFL continues this weekend. We also got a pretty nice sneak preview of SmackDown and Rampage. We'll also get you guys going this week and last night. Ring of Honor's Honor Club TV, after Samoan Joe successfully defended his Ring of Honor's TV championship. Mark Briscoe this week has kind of made some impacts moving forward with the tag team division in Ring of Honor, as well as his upcoming role, his new direction. I think we'll take a quick look into. So a lot still to come. Want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Press those notifications on. Don't miss a single episode. If you guys are watching us on Facebook or Twitter, hit that like button. Also share with your friends. Let everyone know that we are live for the next 2 hours up until high noon. And also, if you guys are downloading us and taking us on the road, whether that's through Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it, we want to thank you guys for being loyal listeners. All righty, let's take our first time out of the morning. Come on back and talk some more sports. You guys are listening to The Throw-In right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Inside your bedroom, we stopped counting the days, lost in the rhythm. Physical silence, no need to speak a word, let you beside me. Don't wanna move too fast. Sometimes we act like a fool,
Yes, we do.
not aware we're troublemakers. Sometimes we try to be cool.
10:22 here on a Friday morning with the throw-in, the last episode of the week for the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Welcome back, everyone. Justin here. I want to give a big shout out to StreamYard Studios, the proud home of the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel, where you can create your podcast, videos, host virtual business meetings, and even conduct interviews. Check out their free version today at StreamYard.com. None of this is possible without StreamYard Studios. So I want to give them an extra big shout out. And if you guys are looking to start one of this yourselves or streaming, whatever the case may be, please encourage you guys to check out StreamYard Studios and see what they're about first. Right? Alrighty. Well, it's a Friday. And any plans for this weekend, you guys, let me know. I'm gonna head on out here after the show, kind of just get out of the house. It's kind of gloomy out, probably small light showers today, I believe, in the area. And head down to a mall for a couple hours. Gonna get the girls tonight for the weekend, and gonna get a chance to play. So I'm big about card games. When I say big about card games, is I grew up with my family playing games like Uno, and the different versions of Uno. So like Uno Tack, Uno Flip, stuff like that. Phase 10, which is kind of like Rummy, but you actually do phases of those cards. And then I also play like Skippo and stuff like that. Well, been playing a lot of my oldest loves Phase 10, and I love the game. I really do. I think Phase 10 is a unique game because I think for me, the way it explained on the box, if you guys don't play it, and if you guys know Rumming, you do. If not, basically, there's 10 phases. You start out Phase 1, and you got to work your way down, and the only way you can move to Phase 2 is by completing that previous phase, in that hand. And so you start a new hand, and it's either you don't, and either you go back to the first, the same phase that you're on, or you lay down the phase and then you move on to the next phase. And the first person to complete all 10 phases and or have the lowest points wins. And even the scoring points are much simpler. So my oldest, she's about 8, and she loves the game. She will play it all the time, but it's not a game for a 4-year-old. It's like she could play it, but she's not really comprehending and unable to. So when you try out a game to play, I'm kind of in the straws of, all right, we could only play Uno, and the regular game of Uno is fun, but I think what I've noticed in my oldest child is that their photo, like they just don't seem entertained because it's the same Uno. Last week, a couple weeks ago, I dug up an old game of Uno, and you had to flip them onto your opponent's pad, and that did things for you if you were able to land on it or not. So this past weekend, I was very excited because I've been eyeballing the Uno attack, where they actually, you press if you don't have the card or you got to draw 2, you press the card that many times and it spits cards at you, or maybe it doesn't. So, you get that opportunity to, it's kind of like, it could spit anywhere from 1 to 8 cards at you. And I'm like, it's kind of fun. So I got it last weekend and played it with the wife, and she loved it. She's not normally big into card games, especially when things start flying at her. She doesn't please to it. So I'm excited to be able to play that game this weekend with the girls. Also play a little bit of, I want to try, I don't know if my oldest is able to play Skippo. That was another game I grew up. But we play Uno, Phase 10, Fill or Bust, which is a dice and card game. don't even know, maybe you guys don't even know what I'm talking about, but these are just kind of card games. So do a little bit of that, try to catch a little bit of, try to maybe catch a little bit of, uh, sports this weekend. I know that got a couple of my oldest is also starting softball this week on Thursdays, and so I kind of got her some stuff. We're gonna go shopping for that, for the bats, the balls, the gloves, and try to go out there and start, if the weather is permittable. Try to go out there and get some work in. Learning how to play catch and learning how to hit the ball just before practice. Love softball. So we'll see how that goes here. But yeah, yesterday, like I said, last 5 minutes earlier on, I caught the last end of Xavier and DePaul. Like I said, DePaul won earlier this week to play into the Big East Conference. Excuse me. And gosh, throat's eerie early on, and it was an interesting game. Like I mentioned, it was down, I want to say, about 3 minutes and 38 seconds from what I recollect. And Xavier was actually down like 76 to 81, and I'm like, oh no, they're not gonna win. DePaul's gonna hold on. And I hear something coming from from Xavier's head coach, saying that, hey, the better team will walk away winning in the last, will be determined in the last 4 minutes. And I'm like, that's true. And I think that's true in all of sports, right? The better team in NFL will win at the 2 minute warning, right? They'll come down to the 2 minute warning and they will do what they have to do to win. And, it was interesting because, like I said, I didn't see anybody panic. There was a couple players, I believe even Colby Jones had 3 shots, foul shots on him. So they were kind of lingering on the foul shot percentage. And, they go in and they just took care of business. They were playing double coverage. They stopped DePaul at the glass in the last 5 minutes of the game. And the last 5 minutes of the game, you would have maybe figured, the way Xavier was playing, that they were the better team through the entire game and they should have never been trailing. They had more energy. They didn't panic. DePaul definitely panicked. I think it also included, they had at least 8+ turnovers in the game in the second half alone, compared to Xavier's 1 turnover. And it comes down to several things and several factors, about making mistakes, about seeing, about seeing what, trying to capitalize on opportunities. It was Colby Jones and it was Nanji. And I apologize if I butchered that name, but it was those 2 guys who, in the final minute, that kind of sealed the deal. I kind of got a little nervous early on because it was, I think, Jack was underneath the glass and ended up calling for a foul. No, he wasn't. It was on the opposite side of the court. Called for a foul, and it was 2-point shot. And I was like, oh no, this is how the game is going to go down, where you're going to rely on DePaul to go for free throws. And it turned out to be the other way. And I think it was exciting. It was, I was sitting at the table while the girls were watching TV on the couch, and my wife, the wife was sitting on the other side of the table, and I was like, I'm pumping my fist, excitement when Xavier finally gets an 83 to 81 lead, and I'm like, 83, 85, yes. And I'm like, there's no way with 20 seconds left of the game you're going to be able to come back. And she's looking at me like, you look crazy, absolutely crazy. So Xavier goes on to win, beats DePaul 89 to 94, seals the deal, advances, keeps their quarterfinal streaks going as they advance to the semifinals, which will be played today. First game at 6:30 at Madison Square Garden. It'll be number 4 UConn taking on number 1 Marquette. And then later on at 9 p.m., late night game tonight in Creighton. Number 3 Creighton will take on number 2 Xavier. After the game, we were waiting on the winner of Villanova and Creighton goes on to win 87-74. Um, AAC tournament also continues today, while we see um, a handful of games to be played. So this is where Cincinnati takes place. So let me go down the kind of like the charts here. So tipping things off at 1 p.m. The first game of the AAC tournament is number 9 Eastern Carolina, taking on number 1 Houston. Number 3 number at 3 p.m. will be number 5 Temple taking on our number 4 Cincinnati. At 7 p.m., the number 7 UCF takes on number 2 Memphis. And at 9 p.m., number 6 Wichita State takes on Tulane. And then we also talk a little bit about what's going on over there in the SEC for the Wildcats, who waited up until this morning to figure out who was going to be in their game. And I want to double check and just see if I have everything correct. So we'll go games. We'll go to today. Let's go to NCAA not football, basketball. And that's gonna be a nighttime game. So very down at the very bottom. All right, 9:30. Come on. Oh no, today. Come on. Let's go to 9:30. That's 11:30. 9:30. Vanderbilt. That's what I had. I wrote down Villanova again. But all right. So in the SEC tournament, is 1 p.m. We have number 9 Mississippi State taking on number 1 Alabama. At 3:30, we'll see number 5 Tennessee taking on number 4 Missouri. At 7 p.m., we'll see number 10 Arkansas taking on number 2 Texas A&M. And then at 9:30, we'll see number 6 Vanderbilt taking on number 3 Kentucky. Just kind of little preview of an exciting time in college hoops before the March Madness bracket tournament. Now, I still kind of wonder, it's like, how come Cincinnati's not considered? I don't know if anyone is capable of jumping from the bracket tournament. I think maybe this is like the final case between the championships. If Cincinnati goes on and wins the SEC tournament, you almost have to maybe consider that they could be a team that you would have to consider going into the 64-man, 64 team tournament, next week. That begins next week. So a lot of basketball hoops coming underway in college sports. Just getting excited. If you guys are college basketball fans, and I'm kind of growing. I grew up only to become a San Diego State fan at by heart, because I grew up in San Diego, and I love watching the Aztecs, especially when they made the run. I want to say, from 2010 to 2017, at least. I mean, they're still at the top of their division. They won yesterday, and they go on to face San Jose State today. And it's just, it's kind of like the time where you kind of have a few teams on your plate that you kind of want to root for in different conferences before this big tournament. And so we'll get a chance to see all that stuff. So, but college basketball, basically, what's going to end up happening in the SEC. It's just kind of like, all right, so this is the quarterfinals tonight. Tomorrow will be the semifinals, and then Sunday will be the actual finals. So by the end of the weekend, by the time we come back Monday, we should know where everyone stays. All right, let's come on back. We're going to try kind of transition into different topics here. We'll take you a little bit about AEW Rampage, getting you guys set up for that tonight, as well as some new announcements from Mark Briscoe, the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion. He will appear tonight on Rampage. We'll talk about what's going to happen and what's where his direction is moving forward. That's still to come. You guys are listening to The Throw-In right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Looking back at the good times before it all went down. Climbed right up on the hillside, a different view of my life. You left me running on and on, but I don't care, would you let me in? You said goodbye like everything's gone, everything that we could have been. But I know you are my liability. Yeah, I know you are my You say that you're sorry. We turn the page and make up. A broken trust got you haunted. The doubting you was enough to leave me chasing you on and on. But I don't care, I will let you in. You said goodbye like everything's gone, everything that we could have been. But I know you are my liability. Yeah, I know you are my liability. Oh, what a hopeless case we could be. Yeah. Oh, what a hopeless place that we're in. But I'm your liability. I know you are my liability. Yeah, I know you are my liability. Oh, what a hopeless case we could be. Yeah. Oh, what a hopeless place that we're in. But I'm your liability.
Alrighty. 1041 here on the program. We got AEW Rampage tonight on TNT at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, you know, this is still the fallout of AEW's Revolution, which I think, without a question, one of the better matches that I've seen. So better pay-per-views. And I think that this pay-per-view particularly separated, in my opinion, if it hasn't done so yet, separated the style of professional wrestling that is displayed in AEW. And it continues tonight on Rampage. Austin Andretti takes on Sammy Guevara in singles competition. The Acclaim takes on Starboy Charlie and Jack Caswell. And Rio takes on Nyla Rose, Konosoko Takashita, and I apologize for butchering that name, takes on Preston Vance. And so, yeah, I don't know, kind of not a lot going on in AEW Rampage tonight. And last night we actually got a chance to see Ring of Honor's Honor Club displayed. A couple matches I announced, and it was I didn't really catch the show, but one thing that I think took away was that after Samoa Joe defeated and defended his Ring of Honor TV championship, we saw an open challenge for his title yet again, and Mark Briscoe was the one who accepted that challenge. And so we will eventually be seeing Mark Briscoe and Samoa Joe face off for the Ring of Honor Television Championship. Now, I will go on and say that there is a lot of respect given by Samoa Joe and what he's capable of doing. I was just reading this article this morning on 411 Mania about this, about the open challenge that Mark Briscoe answered. Mark Briscoe laid out a challenge to Samoa Joe for the Ring of Honor title on this week's Honor Club TV, and Joe is down with it. Thursday night's show saw Joe defended his championship against Tony Deppen, and after the match, he threw out an open challenge to anyone to face him. Briscoe then comes out to challenge him to a match, and Joe said any day he could fight Briscoe is a good day. The match does not yet have a date set. Joe has held the Ring of Honor Championship for 331 days, have won it from Minoru Suzuki back on April 13th, 2022 on an episode of Dynamite. Excuse me. So we're going to get a nice preview of Joe and Briscoe, and I think attentions arise. It was interesting to see Samoa Joe drop the title, AEW TNT title, to Wardlow this past Sunday. And I still am boggled to see, to know why, this is all came down. How come Joe couldn't drop the title on Wednesday night to Powerhouse Hobbs? How come Powerhouse Hobbs had to defeat Wardlow in this sense? But I think the direction that I am kind of looking at in this is we're seeing this Ring of Honor TV championship, the only title that's around either one's waist when this title takes place. It's going, when this match takes place, it's going to be the main focus point. I also think this is also a pretty big match coming up for Mark Briscoe. So you think of the honor of being able to step into a feud with Mark Briscoe, especially after the late event earlier this year with his brother Jay passing. This is kind of the new direction and this new chapter in Mark's life that I think he gets to start with Samoa Joe. I think these are these are really two incredible athletes. I don't know. I think it's going to take some time getting used to, because I never seen Mark Briscoe as a singles competitor, at least, when I started following their career, it was always a tag team view. So to see Mark push forward in professional wrestling as a singles competitor um, is kind of a little of a sweet awe moment, if you're asking me. So, but I like this match. Um, you are staying within the region of Ring of Honor. I think this way Samoa Joe could have just focused in on this feud between these two men. And I'm excited to see what will prevail because Mark Briscoe, when he goes 100%, he goes 100% every match that he's given. Samoa Joe is one of those similar guys, and these both guys can put on a clinic with each other. And so I expect nothing. I will honestly say, Mark Briscoe, Samoa Joe, Ring of Honor Television Champion, probably the match of the year, Ring of Honor, if I don't call it already. That is my personal belief. But there are some other news coming out of Ring of Honor earlier this week, especially, or I want to say it was last week, but by Mark Briscoe, and an announcement that he made stating that the plans for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship, following the passing of his brother Jay, is going to be held at the Supercard of Honor WrestleMania weekend, and it's going to be for a reach for the sky ladder match. And I just think this is extremely incredible and honorable. I've always seen the Briscoes as a unit top of the Ring of Honor division. They are the forefront of the Ring of Honor division. They really, elevate, and they set that standard. They are the face. And I think for a very long time now, they are still, and the remainder, the face, with or without them, in the division. Just like we see the Usos as, or just like you see Charlotte Flair as the top of the women's division, and there's really no one past her in WWE. That's the Briscoes in this very similar, circumstance. So, obviously we had to figure out something with the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship. And I'm sure, Mark Briscoe's been working with Ring of Honor production, all that stuff, to figure out the best possible solution to resolve this. So in this sense, he's kind of being forced to relinquish that title, moving forward to face Samoa Joe for another title as a now singles competitor. And so I think this was very honorable, allowing them to name this the Reach for the Sky ladder match. And Mark Briscoe also announced, the first entrance as he teamed up with the Lucha Bros this past weekend at AEW Revolution. And he got, in the Lucha Bro, and he got a chance to announce that the Lucha Bros would be the first entrance of this Reach for the Sky ladder match. Now, let's remind you, this is to be held at WrestleMania, weekend in about 23 days. For me, and I didn't quite notice this until last year, is that Ring of Honor has their Supercard of Honor that weekend also. You talk about Supercard of Honor, you talk about I don't know if Impact's doing anything around the time also. I'll have to look into that. But NXT Stand and Deliver. And then you have WrestleMania Night 1, WrestleMania Night 2. I don't know if you're going to have a Hall of Fame this year, but if you do have a Hall of Fame ceremony this year, we'll figure that out. But we have on top of that opening day baseball weekend, we have a lot of sports that weekend alone to discuss and go over and get ourselves ready for. I told you guys this at the beginning of the month last week, that this month of March is probably one of the biggest months in the world of sports, coming to the conclusion that there are so many big storylines and big topics to talk about. And now we see this topic of, within the next 3 weeks, we'll find out the other competitors going into this reach for the sky moment. I don't, as we figure out, what's so fun and interesting and gravitating to Ring of Honor and to also AEW is, and this is that they create some sort of surprise. Like, you get surprised by seeing some of the outcomes of these matches. Like, you're uncertain who is going to win, who is going to prevail, who's going to walk out on top or walk out as champion. And right now, seeing Lucha Bros as the number one entrance, as we reveal other entrances to this Reach for the Sky match, it's going to be also, I think, I don't know how much of the role does Mark Briscoe is going to have a say into who's going to win the title, who's going to go on and maybe participate as well. But I will love to see between Ring of Honor and AEW have the best of the best return and face everyone for this Reach for the Sky. Now, something just popped in my head, literally, and I of this actually occurring. But I wouldn't mind seeing, when I think of something as what's going on here, I would like to see, honestly, maybe, wouldn't know the Young Bucks, maybe not, I don't know. But what about the Hardys competing? Because also, in my opinion, a direction of an honorary match of the Briscoes tag team career. And they've been nothing but wild and off to the races. So I would like to see Ring of Honor pull out all the stops when it comes down and just go all out for this Reach for the Sky ladder match, which I think it's going to be fun. I like it. Incredible. So that is Ring of Honor, AEW Rampage. Mark Briscoe will appear tonight on Rampages again. So I'm only assuming we could hear a little bit more heading to Supercard of Honor, or more about this tag team. Maybe he'll announce the next entrance to this Reach for the Sky ladder match. But exciting. We'll keep you guys up to date as that is still to come. Man, we are 23 days away from WrestleMania 39, night one. And SmackDown is tonight. We'll talk a little bit about that in hour number 2. In hour number 2, I have a whole nother program practically for you guys, probably in a similar basis. We'll get over the remainder of Cincinnati sports. College baseball takes on series this weekend. Cincinnati Reds heading into their game recap and last night's loss to the Cubs. They have a doubleheader today, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Couple of news coming around the NFL. The Jets, they're making a hardcore hit heading to into the offseason, trying to capture Aaron Rodgers, and Los Angeles Rams open for trading Matthew Stafford. Plus, SmackDown's tonight see the number one contender spot, number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship, as a fatal 5-way will determine that and who will be facing Gunther for that title at WrestleMania. That is also still to come in hour number 2. Bobby Lashley takes on Bray Wyatt. I still don't know what storyline is this. Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? Maybe not. Just something to think about over the weekend. So, I guess we'll have to kind of just see. All right, out number one is complete. We'll head on back here. Out number two on a Friday, wrapping up the week. Don't go nowhere. The throw in here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel will continue next.
About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions, we'll get away. This is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with me. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free.
Alrighty. 11 o'clock here on the throwing out number two. Got a lot packing in you. Finish off the week strong. And we got to continue giving shout outs to Spreaker this time. Our number two is given to you by Spreaker from iHeartRadio. Download, monetize, put in ads to your podcasting on audio platforms. If you guys are also looking to upload podcasts and want people to hear it and potentially get paid for it and earn credit for it, check out Spreaker.com. The throw in is the TNC Sports Talk is proud to be using Spreaker. And, we're on platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and so much more. So check out today, Spreaker.com. All righty. Well, our number one's in. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't really quite know the direction this show's going in. I know I have a whole bunch of weekend stuff to get to you, and that's what we've been kind of throwing in bits and pieces and some stories and some subjects. And I want to finish off the week strong, get you to some other stories, and then that way we can get into the weekend feeling fresh about sports and then build our way up for Monday. Okay. The Cincinnati Bengals had stirred very small news this past week, during the week yesterday, as they re-signed a couple of players, re-signing linebacker. I have the information here. Okay. Don't bail on me quite yet. It's somewhere. you know. They re-signed linebacker Joe Bocci to a 1-year deal, and they also signed wide receiver Jalen Davis to a 2-year deal for the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, nothing too big about that, to be honest. And I don't know. I guess everybody, I'm not going to go push the envelope and say that they're big names because I really don't quite know, but their names nonetheless big enough to say something. As they went ahead and re-signed them. Moving on with some of the other stories that we have, we are seeing the New York, talking about signing people. The New York Jets are all in on Aaron Rodgers and trying to sign Aaron Rodgers. Don't ask me why. I really wasn't expecting to get this part early on, but this is just the direction I'm going to go down. So bear with me, you guys. The Jets released wide receivers Braxton Barreros in helps to get Aaron Rodgers. The New York Jets saved $5 million on cap space after releasing the wide receiver. Now, I don't know what $5 million really does, but it seems to me earlier this week that the New York Jets flew out to go meet Aaron Rodgers one-on-one. In return, on the way home, they released Braxton Barreros. Guy I don't know, but it saved $5 million in the cap space. I think this urges the question, because realistically, how much is Aaron Rodgers worth? And can the Jets capture Aaron Rodgers? Now, listen, this could simply come back and bite the New York Jets in the ass. Now, I'm not going to say that they went to go give up a big top guy. Absolutely not. But, if they don't land Aaron Rodgers with the space that they're trying to make, how do they react to that? And, I know New York fans, and I don't know how well they're going to handle seeing them basically free up the cap space to give Aaron Rodgers this X dollar amount contract, or to, but if that doesn't happen, now you got this cap space. The Jets didn't have a terrible season last year. They contended for a good amount of the season. And, it's by nature where you have the rest of your division also at the top tier of their game. Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins and the Patriots all trying to get themselves in the playoffs. I remember last year, it was the Patriots up until week 18, where then we saw, them fall off and lose. But, listen, whatever the Jets are doing, they're trying really hard to get Aaron Rodgers. And, I guess my concern is, as at the end of Rodgers' career, he is prone. I don't know the downfall, and I won't even say it's a downfall of Tom Brady. Tom Brady, went to Tampa Bay, had a successful run up until this past year, where I think distractions got to him the best. And I talked about this last year when we started trying to relaunch the throw-in audio style. about this could very well this whole family scenario could be a huge distraction for Tom Brady moving forward, and we could see it be affected out on the field. I don't know how much of that is true to the word, but I mean, we saw something last year with Tom Brady didn't necessarily see himself like himself last year, and the way that the Buccaneers carried themselves that last year was probably also an indication for Brady's future. Now, I just don't want to see, Tom Brady went from New England where it got frigidly cold to Tampa Bay where it kind of got a little bit warmer, more humid. There was plenty of reports of Aaron Rodgers potentially going to a West Coast team. A lot of teams thrown out there like the the Las Vegas Raiders, sorry, the San Francisco 49ers, the Los Angeles Rams were even thrown out there at one point. But there has also been teams that have been thrown out there like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or even now the New York Jets. I've said this from the beginning of offseason. Aaron Rodgers is a future Hall of Famer. I think that's fair enough to say. Aaron Rodgers is also the only reason why he still wants to play in the NFL at this moment. He's already accomplished the Super Bowl. He's already made his money. He's already been in the spotlight, and I think he'll still remain in the spotlight moving forward. But the only reason the top tier reason why I think Aaron Rodgers is still in the NFL, and that's because he wants to win again. And I don't quite know if going to a team like the New York Jets is going to give him that ability to win. Now, he'll be moving over to the AFC, so he'll be facing top tiers like Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. He'll play Josh Allen twice a year. If Tua Tagovailoa is capable of coming back, and the Dolphins sign him, maybe possibly Lamar Jackson, Kenny Pickett. There is a bunch of great talented quarterback names out there, and the AFC is a challenging conference. I guess it lingers the question because the NFC was not better than the AFC last year. AFC was definitely at the forefront. It was the top of the league last year. So I wonder, hey, okay, go change into New York where it gets colder, easier, where you have much stronger, opinionated fan base, and if the things don't work out, the fans will let you definitely hear it. New York will definitely let you hear it. And does Aaron Rodgers want to go to a team and have to have that pressure? Because I know that if Aaron Rodgers signs with the Jets, first of all, it's going to be awkward as hell, Yeah. To see Aaron Rodgers in a different uniform, just like it was hard to see Tom Brady in a different uniform. But nonetheless, you're not putting yourself in a better position. When you go step foot into New York and you are shown as the Jets' new starting quarterback, you're going to have high expectations. The expectations of winning the division, the expectations of taking the team to the playoffs, and the expectations of taking the team possibly to an AFC championship, if not to the Super Bowl. And, I don't know how many more years Aaron Rodgers has under his belt, but I would like him, I've said this before last month, that if Aaron Rodgers agrees to go to a football team other than the Green Bay Packers, he's going to want to make sure that team not only has the cap space to pick him up, but is also able to already have a foundation team put together that is just one key piece, aka quarterback wise, away from going to the playoffs, from going to win the division, from going on to win the AFC championship, and potentially going on to win the Super Bowl. Now, all the good teams like Josh Allen with Buffalo, that's taken up. The Cincinnati Bengals have Joe Burrow, that's taken up. Kansas City has Patrick Mahomes. Jaguars have Trevor Lawrence. Miami right now still has Tua Tagovailoa. The Chargers have Justin Herbert. So, what other teams on the AFC do you also think or see Aaron Rodgers could potentially go to that makes that much that is one key away, aka quarterback wise, away from winning a division or taking them to the promised land? If I'm Aaron Rodgers, yes, I want to stay in the spotlight forever. Yes, I wouldn't mind a challenge taking more of a downgraded team. But you know what? If you're taking a downgraded team, stay in Green Bay. Take the pay cut, stay in Green Bay and work with the Packers. If you want to take much more of a challenging team, go to the Atlanta Falcons. But overall, I mean, and here's the thing. I'm not a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. I don't flip backwards for Aaron Rodgers every time we hear his name, but he's a good enough quarterback to be recognized. No doubt about it. He's also a Hall of Fame quarterback. But for the remainder of his career or his tenure, I want him to be in a team where, one, it makes him happy. Two, he has a good offensive line, an established defense, and established wide receivers that he could throw to. And three, that also gives him the opportunity to at least finish his career off with some sort of success. And the whole purpose is listen, he's made his money. He's already won his championship. I think he will love to have another ring on his finger before the end of his career. I just doubt that that's going to be with the New York Jets. Now, listen, I'll flip over in my grave with everyone. I'll jump on that bandwagon if he does, take the Jets to the playoffs. But the Jets are releasing players which to me already seem desperate, as if they're in a desperate move. Yeah, I mean, well, it's going to be. I'll watch to see what's next from the Jets, but they're trying to leave up cap space, and I get that. They have to, if they're going to have a potential spot with Aaron Rodgers, they're going to have the money, but they're quick to do so because within days of coming back, they've already have saved up $5 million. While we're here over in the quarterback spot, the Los Angeles Rams are open to full negotiation and conversations when it comes down to trading Matthew Stafford. Maybe Matthew Stafford isn't their long-term quarterback. I highly doubt it. There's no doubt that what he's done with the Rams coming on in the first year last year and taking them to the Super Bowl, not last season, but the previous season, taking them to the Super Bowl was, I think, impressive. And it was that 1 year that he had to capitalize, and he truly did capitalize on that opportunity. When he signed that extension last year, he signed for $160 million contract extension after the Super Bowl. $57 million of that is guaranteed. Now, the question that's going to lie is what team in the world is going to want to pick up Matthew Stafford? Matthew Stafford, to me, all right, after the Super Bowl, he got hurt. Okay. And I think it's not fair to, figure out. And I think Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback when you have all the pieces there. And that's what the Rams had in Super Bowl year, because the conversation during the Super Bowl for the Rams was not about Matthew Stafford, because yes, he was capable of playing at a high level, but at the same time, he was not the center focus point of attention. And the reason why the Rams went to the Super Bowl, the reason why the Rams went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl was because of their defense. You had Aaron Donald, Jalen Hurst, all these top elite talent, on that roster that really elevated and took the Rams to that next level. You didn't, last year we saw the begin of that downfall. You had an incredible offensive line. You had receivers that were easily capable of connect because they ran simple plays, wasn't too chaotic on the field. When every time they had an offensive run, they were also able to establish the run game. This is going to be difficult for the Rams to really handle I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna guess Baker Mayfield as a potential future quarterback with the Rams, at least seeing what 1 year had to offer. But we also, if you are a Rams fan, you have to be aware that this is what was expected to happen come post Super Bowl victory, because they wheeled and dealt everything they could possibly throw at, to every NFL team 2 years ago, saying that we are going to empty our bank accounts. We are going to get the players that we want and that we need and that we believe is going to go on to win the Super Bowl. And we're going to go on and win the Super Bowl. And they did. All right. I remember sitting here a year ago saying that if they didn't, it would be a conversation that we threw our hands up in the air and was like, what the hell did the Rams just do? Okay. But they did. They won the Super Bowl. And then we're also now praising them like they're the best team ever, which obviously wasn't the case because they didn't even make it to go half the distance last year. So this time around, we knew that after they did what they did, they won the Super Bowl, we were going to have to face the backlash, the aftermath of everything. And this is what that aftermath is consistent of. So, the Rams are going to have a lot of work to be done heading into this offseason. I don't know if they could. First of all, do you see the Rams trading officially Matthew Stafford? At this point, I don't quite think so. 2, what team would pick up Matthew Stafford? What team needs to pick up Matthew Stafford? And, he's also at the end of his career. He spent most of his longevity career with the Detroit Lions, and that didn't really work well. All right, let's step away. Let's get you guys ready for the Cincinnati Reds and take a look around the rest of Cincinnati sports. Stay tuned. Take you guys up until 12 o'clock on a Friday here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
it to the bank like. Ha 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 ha. Ooh, go, go. Left it to the bank like. Ha 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 ha.
I'd like to give a big shout out to Epidemic Sound. Discover your world-class artists, composers, and bands. Find the perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Epidemic Sound is a royalty-free music link. For more information, check out epidemicsound.com.
Pedal to the floor, need no brake lights. In the dark, watch it make light.
And you have to feel good about yourself. 11:23 here on the throw-in. Take you guys up until 12 o'clock on a Friday morning. You got to feel good after hearing David Bell sit here today on March 9th, yesterday, that Hunter Green was going to be announced for opening day. And we kind of figured that that was going to be the case, all lingering to maybe injuries, right? And on top of that, Hunter, David Bell and at least the Cincinnati Reds has also been agreed upon the first series weekend against the Pittsburgh Pirates beginning March 30th, taking them to the Sunday, April 2nd, that Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, and Graham Ashcraft is going to get the nod for the weekend. And it's up here. Right there you go. And I think it brings excitement because it seems like we're locked and set on these three guys who really kind of had to forcefully handle themselves in the last season. And they really were kind of forced to be, was thrown in there unexpectedly, didn't really get a chance to develop, had to really kind of go through the season dealing with their, not only injuries, but dealing with their, struggles, right? They're trying to, whether it's Green trying to control the ball or whether it's Ashcraft trying to, whether it's Hunter Green trying to control the velocity of the baseball, right? Because he's definitely throwing 100 miles an hour. Whether that's Graham Ashcraft trying to control one pitch and stay inside the strike zone. I felt like last year there was a lot more responsibility solely on these three pitchers due to the amount of injuries in the pitching staff. And I think that's led to a lot of poor performances. That's also led to a good amount of pressure and responsibility they put themselves on last year. Now, this, their rookie season is out the door. They know that they're not rookies no more. And I think that they now understand, hey, this is their team. They have a much better comprehension. And, this is just the three key guys. Now, off to the bats. I think I talked about this a little bit earlier this week. Last year there was probably not a single person on the rotation that I felt comfortable going out there that could have gave us a chance at winning the ball game, other than maybe Nick Lodolo. But we also see Hunter Green, who pitched yesterday against the Cubs. They lost 8-6. Hunter Green went 4 innings, 2 hits, and given up 0 runs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Now, I think that's solid numbers, but I think the ultimate test is come opening day. And as I mentioned before, we're facing the Pirates. Now, I don't want to underestimate any baseball team, but if you kind of want a good stepping stone before you got to go and face the Cubs, which will probably give you a better realistic look, facing the Pirates could do a lot for a starting, winning your first ball game or having your first good outing of the season could do a lot for, a pitcher moving forward in their every 5-day outing. It also does a lot for the organization. And right now, it's fun to be a Cincinnati. I think it's exciting to see the potential athletes that we have coming up through the farm system and the performances like Matt McLean, like Christian Encarnacion Schrin, Ellie De La Cruz. We see TJ Freedom working his way up, Nick Solak. And so, we're seeing these younger guys and they're having fun out there. The winning ball games. They went on to beat the Padres in a great showdown the other day. And it makes it being a fan yet again exciting, even though it's not the excitement of going on and saying, hey, we have every little tool in the chest to go win ourselves a World Series. Maybe not this year, but we're definitely starting to add to those pieces. I mean, we're not as excited as the Padres because they went to go empty their banks under Juan Soto and Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis, and they got Xander Bogaerts, and they signed extensions to Joe Musgrove and Yu Darvish. No, we're not excited as the Padres, who went to the NLCS last year and unfortunately lost, and they think that they fixed those little minor details, right, with everyone coming back healthy, but there's still something worth to be excited about for the Cincinnati Reds this season, and especially opening day. And what I would say is that I know it's only 3 weeks away, but if this starting rotation continues, we still yet to see Luke Weaver, who could probably be that fourth starter. Luis Cessa right now in the World Baseball Classic, who could be in that fifth spot. Connor Overton is working his way up. He'll get the opportunity to pitch today for the Reds. As the Reds actually have a double header today. So the first game is at 3:10, and they'll be on the road in Peoria to face the Seattle Mariners, who are 5-6 on the season. Connor Overton will get the chance to have the nod, get an actual outing to begin this, the gameplay today. And then we'll come back in game 2 today. Well, we have Nick Lodolu, who is supposed to schedule the start for March, or for April 1st, which is the Saturday. So, I think there's some worth being behind it. Now we can kind of, all right, since we kind of have an idea now who's going to be where, what days are going to pitch, we could definitely start getting ourselves ready for these pitchers. Now, I don't think the Pirates have pitchers yet, and MLB hasn't confirmed any pitcher yet, because although they named Hunter Green opening day roster, they have to officially submit their roster, I think, a day or two before the actual season, and then MLB will update it and confirm it and whatnot. But yeah, that's today's games. A doubleheader for the Reds on Saturday. They will go on the road and take on the Texas Rangers, 3:05 p.m. And let's not forget, hey, it's daylight savings, you guys. So you guys are going to lose an hour of sleep Sunday morning. So if you guys set that clock forward, the Reds may feel a little delay as they come back to Goodyear to play the Dodgers at 4:05 p.m. And because Arizona doesn't have that time change as well, I think it's like the Mountain Time is the only time that doesn't really change, so they move an actual hour forward also on the time that they start their games at. So kind of interesting there to keep a look at. But that's kind of your weekend with the Reds there. A couple of home runs from yesterday's game, while Luke Malley and Jason Volzer both hit home runs in the loss. It was a two home run by Luke Malley. Give him a two RBIs of the game. Base running still is aggressive, and I think that's another positive note to come out of the Reds farm system right now. Kevin Newman, TJ Friedel, Will Benson, firing hot, all stolen a base in yesterday's gameplay. So we will see that. Let me get to that. There we go. Doubleheader today. I got that. I want you guys to see that. It's 3:10, Reds versus the Mariners. 8:05, Diamondbacks and the Reds. And then Saturday's game, we'll see the Reds and Rangers, and then we'll see the Dodgers and the Reds on Sunday. All right, let's move on over around the league. We got Cincinnati. The Cyclones will be on the road for 2 games this weekend, visiting Tulsa, taking on the Oilers Friday and Saturday, both at 8:05. Tonight's puck drops as well. They're still kind of in the standings here with and I have it somewhere. They're still in the standing scramble between Toledo Walleyes and the Indy Fuels. We will see tonight games to watch in the ECHL or tune into regarding the Cincinnati Cyclones. We will see tonight Toledo Walleyes taking on Kalamazoo Wings. Tonight at 8:05, we will see Indy Fuel taking on Iowa Heartlanders. On Saturday, Toledo and Indy will face each other at 7 p.m. The Fields will be at home, and then Sunday, Fields will finish up their 3-game weekend against Fort Wayne Comets at 5 p.m. The Cyclones will have these 2 games, and then they'll be off for an entire week, coming back next week. College baseball here in Cincinnati, Kentucky. Looks like I think everyone's on the road. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, everyone's on the road. The Bearcats begin a 3-game series this weekend. They come into play 7-6, winning the last 5. They will be they'll be on the road taking on Warford's Terraries tonight, beginning at 5:30. Terraries coming to gameplay in this weekend, 12-1. They're 12-1. They won 12 straight. Dated back on Wednesday. They beat Michigan 12-9, won 10 of 11 games played at home. So they're really having a really kickstart to the season. All-time series, UC holds 10-1. Bearcats lost last time out. The last time they played was on March 15th of last year, where they lost 8-1, and they'll be playing in Spartan. So there'll be the first time at the Russell C. Kingsfield in Spartan, South Carolina. The Bearcats will have Dylan Broski out there today. First pitch is at 5:30, taking on Carlson Boot Canyon. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. game time, Chase Hurst taking on Charlie Weber. And then Sunday will conclude the 3-game series. Chase Hopwell taking on Matthew Marshall at 1 p.m. We have Xavier baseball underway. Musketeers wrap up the month-long road stands against St. Mary's Geels in a 3-game series beginning today at 5 p.m. It was supposed to be a 4-game series, but they postponed yesterday's. We will yet to determine if that game is to be made up or not. But tonight's game, 5 p.m. against St. Mary's. St. Mary's coming into this weekend series 3-8, as the Musketeers coming into this weekend series 6-7, picking up the last game win on the other day. They'll come home on Wednesday to face against Michigan. Saturday's game will be at game 1 of the doubleheader on Saturday will be at 1 p.m. The second game will be yet to be received so far. Xavier took a 7-1 win over Cal Poly back on Wednesday. Xavier 0-3 against the Geels. Last time they met was back in 2018. Kentucky Wildcats baseball, college sports, coming into gameplay 11-2, winning the last 7 games, will take on the Southern Illinois Salukis in a 3-game series. Salukis coming into the play 6-7. It'll be the first time that Kentucky has been to Carbondale since 1993. Kentucky leads the series, overall series, 10-5. As a 3-game series begins today at 4 p.m. Darren Williams for the Wildcats taking on Ben Chapman for the Salukis. Saturday at 1 p.m., where Tyler Bozma will take on Easton Demoody. And at 2 p.m., wrapping up the 3-game series, Zach Lee taking on Paul Benzangi. So that is your college sports around Cincinnati. Wrapping that up. That's kind of getting you guys ready for the weekend. A lot of things. Some college basketball, some college baseball, spring training, and some XFL also. So a little bit of everything going on. All right, let's take our last break of the program. Come to you at the bottom of the hour, and let's get you guys ready for SmackDown as we still are on the road to WrestleMania. Thank you guys for listening to the Throw-In right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Alrighty, 11:42 here, bottom half of the hours, ready for the weekend, and I'm excited. I'm ready to go. Kind of checked out a little bit in this last segment. Gonna head off here, upload the show. It takes about an hour, I would say, and then we will go off and do my day. It's kind of a little cold outside, gloomy, possible showers on and off throughout the day. Potential for snow on Sunday. Kind of I don't know. It's been a while. We've kind of had this mixed weather over the last month of February. Kind of got the feeling that we had a couple good weeks of solid, comfortable weather. Talk about like mid 50s, maybe 60s. A couple days in the 70s. I'm not really quite ready for that yet. Not to get myself into the routine again, getting comfortable for the warmer weather. But I was into, comfortable in the month of February. It hasn't really snowed, a couple raining delays, got a lot high winds, a lot. And the weathers were nice and comfortable. 50s, 60s. Now jump back down to like the 20s today, last night. Supposed to expect a little bit of showers, some snow potentially on Sunday. Hopefully the weather upholds enough so I could take the girls out to some, toss some balls around, play catch with them. But yeah, that's we're going back down south to the weather. All right, well, SmackDown is live tonight. We are still on the road to WrestleMania with 23 days until the night one of WrestleMania 39. And on Monday, I'm back on Raw. We saw what did we see? We saw 3 matches take place, at least develop, heading into WrestleMania, officially announced. We saw a 6-woman tag team match between Damage Control and Bayley, taking on Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus. And we also got to see the confirmation of Logan Paul taking on Seth freaking Rollins, confirmed. And then we also see the acceptance challenge from John Cena to take on Austin Theory for the United States Championship. And we're starting to see some more matches unravel and unfeud. As earlier, a couple weeks ago, I got an article that said that this Sunday, March 12th, at Madison Square Garden, we will see a 20-man battle royal to determine a number 1 contender spot to face Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania this year. Well, I want to say that's apparently changed, because tonight on SmackDown, we will see a fatal 5-way to determine the number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship and to face Gunther at WrestleMania. We have Sheamus taking on Drew McIntyre, taking on Karrion Kross, and taking on Xavier Woods and LA Knight. Now, originally, we would have saw Kofi Kingston, but apparently he got hurt last week on SmackDown and he's been scratched. Now, I think LA Knight is a good alternative to throw in this mix. And I guess my thing is that the last, I think, 6 months of SmackDown and of this Intercontinental Championship reign has been bringing back this quote unquote fight mode, right? Fighting style. Like Gunther is just, he fights. He's a professional wrestler. He will wrestle people. And he has had some really good matches against Drew McIntyre and against Sheamus over the length of time. And I don't think that the WWE universe has really noticed him until he was capable of going the distance, at least up until, as being the first entry of the 2023 Royal Rumble. And then he goes and lasts the entire hour and comes down to him and Cody Rhodes. And they had I would say solid 5, maybe 7-minute match on top of the Rumble before he finally gets eliminated. And I especially for me, the eyes for Gunther has sparked. And I'm like, all right, I see you, Gunther. You could actually compete. You could actually wrestle. I mean, I think it's one thing to compete in an Iron Man match like we saw MJF and Bryan Danielson this past Sunday. But I think it's also a completely stronger story if you can say that I lasted the entirety of a Royal Rumble, which has been distinct, united. I mean, everything under the sun. And, and I think that Gunther has really brought a prestigious vision back to this IC title. And we'll get it determined to see who is going to go into WrestleMania to challenge him. Now, a couple of favorites. Now, let me put it this way. I think other than, no disrespect to Xavier Woods, other than Xavier Woods, the other four men do have a liable case. I personally believe that the direction that SmackDown will be going into is keeping this fight prestigious championship, in a fighting corner. And that kind of narrows LA Knight and possibly Karrion Kross out of the picture, which means you leave it who's going to go between Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. Now, from my understanding, I believe they talked about this, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Sheamus is one title away from becoming a Grand Slam champion. And in this sense, I'm supportive. I mean, I like both Drew and I like Sheamus. It's been a while since I've seen Sheamus climb back to the top, and that's what he's been doing. With this Fight Club, he's climbing back to the top of SmackDown and of the roster, and I really like what he's been working with Drew McIntyre, and I like, he's definitely separated his ways from what has been doing the last couple of years. So, in my opinion, I am a fan favorite. I'm going to root for Sheamus tonight. And but I think there's a different direction going down between for how this match. We've seen a lot this year so far. Announced for WrestleMania, 1-on-1 only. We've seen a lot of it. And I think a different direction going down in this match particularly. I would love to see a triple threat match between Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre. Now, that means something has to happen tonight in this match that validates a reasoning for Drew and for Sheamus to maybe both pin an opponent, together in order to be like, Adam Pearce comes out and says, you know what? Both of you guys are going to be in. Now, I'm assuming that this is going to be a main event match. And I think rightfully so. This would actually be a good main event match representing the Intercontinental Championship. Because one of the things that we're starting to see on Raw is the United States Championship kind of be risen up to the top. I would like to see the IC title, which is growing, to be risen up to the top of the show also. But this is the big story coming out, because although we know that Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes are going to do battle at WrestleMania, this is a match that is yet to be determined. Also something fun and interesting, a couple other stories coming down, and I don't know how much more you have to push Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. The way that I am seeing these two females is that they're going to go at it before WrestleMania on SmackDown, probably the week before WrestleMania. So give it 3 more weeks. And I can very well see it happen. Now, I would love to see also Charlotte Flair go to Raw, invade Raw, maybe cost her a match. That's what I would like to see. But I don't know if we're going to really get a chance to see that. We're gonna get also a chance to see more between Bray Wyatt and Bobby Lashley. Now I have to come to the understanding and just to the acceptance that this is a match that's going to happen. It's a little frustrating because I like Bray Wyatt, I like Bobby Lashley. You have two current baby faces that people, even if you maybe presume that Bray Wyatt's a heel, everyone loves him, what he's capable of doing and what he's trying to do. Everyone loves him. So it's kind of hard to, when we start breaking down and picking who do we want to win or who do we favor to win, it's going to be hard to choose between Bobby and Bray. Now, I think I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. I am not quite a fan of Bray Wyatt at the moment in the sense of storytelling. You know, I don't know what it is, but something. This kind of Uncle Howdy, these kind of other characters that we were all excited to see come to life, and we want to kind of slowly reveal. And I don't know if they're going to reveal them at all, but you know, we really don't know the direction. I was hoping for something to be concluded at WrestleMania, that we revealed who Uncle Howdy is, or you know, the mind games with Alexa Bliss leading through the Royal Rumble, you know, and I just don't quite seeing that direction going down. I guess it makes me wonder, what are the plans now? You know, everything, if you do things in a timely manner and keep me invested, like you had me back at the Royal Rumble, then I'm going to want to tune in and watch, and I'm still going to support, figure out, all right, what is next? But here was my timeline. We waited until the Royal Rumble to see Bray Wyatt in the ring, and he's only had one match. We didn't hear from him the entire month of February, up until the Friday night SmackDown before Elimination Chamber, where he made it clear that he wants the winner of Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. And now we're seeing Bray kind of do the muscle man kind of gimmick that I enjoy, but this is the same thing that happened to John Cena a couple years ago during the pandemic. So you're kind of seeing a repeat, and there haven't really been no direction. Uncle Howdy comes out of nowhere last week and tries to attack Bobby, and that was an utter failure. So what's going on? What's the direction for Bray Wyatt? I thought maybe we will see some sort of story over the last 2 months that maybe led up to understanding a little bit more, and he's keeping things very mysterious. Now, in my attention span, I will tell you this, I am very limited to what is being put out there. And if you don't start moving the product along, then yes, you will lose my attention to what you're trying to say. And what I fear of happening is that this is something that's going to be really good, right? I got a feeling it's going to be good. But you know, that only comes through how, you know, the timetable of you telling it. If you take too long, I'm not going to be invested into watching it. I'm not going to care. And when the time does come, I'm going to miss it. And it's going to be, oh man. So I kind of hope that they kind of tell a little bit more about everything that's going on. And it still doesn't quite make sense why Bobby and Bray kind of want to fight each other. I mean, I understand now Bobby, but why does Bray want to fight Bobby? Hopefully we learn more information about that tonight. And then last but not least, Raw. Back on Raw, we saw Jey Uso choose sides with Jimmy, attacking Sami Zayn. You saw Cody Rhodes. I would have liked to see Kevin Owens, but I think this is still a build-up to see Kevin Owens in the long run team up with Sami Zayn. Hopefully we see a couple of tag matches, maybe a 6-man tag match before WrestleMania. Which also validates the last and final question, right? We'll see tag team matches, a tag team match between Braun Strowman and Ricochet taking on the Viking Raiders this tonight on SmackDown. But there's a good amount of people that do not have WrestleMania matches, and one is including Braun Strowman. And one thing I think, probably not today, probably not Monday or next week, but one thing I want to start maybe getting into is talking about these, the people who return and their progress since returning. Because I'll tell you something like here. Braun Strowman has not quite been on top of the table, and it's kind of for me, I feel like a waste of opportunity. So, yeah, we'll see. Talk a little bit more about that next week. We are officially done with our program today. Up here, I want to thank everyone for watching, whether that is on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. If you guys are downloading us and listening to us on audio platforms, we thank you. We welcome you. We encourage you to continue doing it. It is you guys, it's everyone's viewership that keeps this show going. So thank you very much. And I hope everyone's going to have a great weekend. I know I am. Can't wait to come back Monday to share everything with you and listen to what you guys have to say about your weekends and the world of sports as it unravels. NCAA basketball tournaments underway, conference tournaments coming up. Be sure to watch Cincinnati, Xavier, and Kentucky. And the Reds play this weekend. SmackDown tonight, Rampage tonight, road to WrestleMania, and the road to opening day. On behalf of myself and the entire configuration of the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel, we say so long. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you guys back again on Monday. Thank you and take care. Have a great weekend.